actually still go out to Lionsgate or one of our other hotels and book a couple of rooms so that they can actually go and shower and do things and get cleaned up and then come back too. We find that even if they're local, they take this as an opportunity to come out. A lot of these families have big 40, 50-foot motorhomes that sit on the side of their house most of the year, so they take the opportunity to bring them out and circle the wagons and do that. It's an outstanding event, especially for the girls. A lot of bonding, a lot of fun time. Basically a big family camp out between the teams and playing softball. Last year, because it was a 3-day weekend, we actually went into Sunday night into Monday. This year, because it's not a 3-day weekend, we are going to pare that back so that we're actually done kind of like a normal tournament time, late Sunday afternoon. I think the following week, many school districts start up again with school, so we would want to, we can't go into that next night like we can on Labor Day weekend. So what we would do there with the number of teams that participate, we will probably need to go wide on Saturday like we normally do in a tournament, go to Antelope or go to one of the other parks or high schools that we use to play more games so that we can get done by about 5:30, 6 o'clock on Sunday evening like normal. So we will not go around the clock on that night, so we'll end like normal on that Sunday night. Again, we get a lot of cooperation with the Air Museum because Roxanne will usually cough up some discount tickets or something for the kids to go over there and visit the museum during their off time. And of course, McClellan Park has graciously assisted us with assistance on that. So that's the girls event in August. The second event is the adult event, which has actually been going on longer than the girls event. This is run in conjunction with the event at the SAC complex. They get about 120 to 150 teams total, and between the two complexes, and they play. They start on Friday night as usual, and then they start games at midnight, and they play around the clock, and they too end on Sunday. They don't go beyond that. So it's pretty much all night. Friday, Saturday morning, and then Saturday night into Sunday, and they pretty much finish by normal by 7, 8 o'clock on Sunday evening with that there. The adult event has in the past created more of a different flair. We're talking about adult softball players versus youth families, and so we don't have the ability to offer camping to them inside the complex. At this point, I am not entertaining at all approaching McClellan Park for the back area for the adults. They utilize the area at the SAC complex between the parking lot and the golf course. There's a big dirt area between the parking lot and the golf course. And so they utilize that area for camping in the past. So a lot of the adults will camp there and actually drive over to Freedom Park to utilize the park there. The one area that we've used in the past is the Bark area behind or between the basketball court and the complex. We've used that area before for some tent camping. We don't allow tent camping at all in any of the other green area, grass area of the park, nor do we allow any camping on the small grass islands within the parking lot area. There's some small, on the ends they have some small grass areas there. So we don't allow any of that in the past, although we have in the past had some tent camping there in the Bark. And I would say there's between 10 and no more than 15 or 20 that can even fit in that area. And they're just tents that are there. Many of them use that as kind of a secondary base, and so that is one concern that we have with that there. They tend to play music throughout the night, so we have to make sure that we monitor that. We have staff there throughout the event because the snack bar is going, and one of my requirements is that I have staff on the site besides our concession people that are there to monitor that going on. That's part of their rental cost to do that. There is alcohol. They're going to bring alcohol in. We try to stop it, but I won't lie to you that the adults like their beer. So either they're drinking beer in the parking lot, or they're drinking beer, whatever they do sneak in, but it's not rampant. Most of them will go back to the SAC complex where they camp out, and that's where they are. So I'm not going to lie to you about that part of it. It is part of adult softball. I mean, very rarely are you going to get that group not consuming alcohol to some degree over the course of a weekend, especially Midnight Madness. So we do monitor that heavily. We're kind of the secondary complex. The main complex that's used is the Sacramento Softball Complex. So that event is typically the first weekend in October. And I've also kind of strongly hinted to the directors of that event that this will probably be the last year that I allow it. I actually want the date back for girls event. So they're looking to, I'm looking to say, well, I'm seeking approval to have it one more time, and then from this point on, it will be pretty much a regular softball, girls softball event from that point on. I'm not enthusiastic. Not that I've had any problems with that in the past. The complaints have been very, very minor. McClellan Park really hasn't complained too much about it, mostly because we stay up on it all night long and make sure the music's down, and we tell them, hey, if there's any problems at all, let us know. We'll deal with it right away. But it's just a different atmosphere, different group. And I'd rather take it back for a girls event or a boys baseball event, a youth event, rather than hosting Midnight Madness. So I'd like to kind of honor this last shot, and next year they'll have to seek somewhere else to go on that particular weekend. So from then on, it will be just the girls event that we request to have the Midnight Madness event.
All right. I'm going to break this up into two different things at this point for the girls weekend and the adult weekend. So I'm going to ask staff first. Staff, do you have any concerns about the girls weekend?
Well, I think that the main concern we have is just making sure that there's adequate supervision, I'm assuming that they're going to have music and have noise too, and that
No, well, to answer that question, on Friday evening, they come there they start coming in the afternoon when your parents get off work, and they start bringing their motorhomes in. We have activities from about 5 o'clock to about 9:30, 10. And we have games, we have contests, and we'll have a DJ there at that time. But then we do the draw and we start games. Girls don't like music during the course of their games, so we actually don't play any music during the course of our games at all. So that is not the concern. The only thing is the lights are on all night long. And we alert the residents of that, and knock on wood, we haven't had a complaint to where they said, we can't do this anymore. I think if McClellan Park had that complaint, they would say, no, we're not going to let you use the back area for camping. The camping area is backed right up against the residence areas. So we pretty much tell our people, you have to behave yourselves. And they're sleeping during the night too. I mean, those that are sleeping, those are playing. So we have families that are not rowdy all night long, etc. So that is one of the reasons why I don't offer that area to the adults at all. Not going to
what kind of supervision is taking place from D.F.Softball?
Oh, we have all our staff there, all of our umpires.
Umpires are focused on the game.
Correct.
They're not going to monitor what's going on elsewhere. And obviously you can't be there 24/7.
No.
Is there going to be someone designated from D.F.Softball that we will have contact information on, that in the event something happens, we can relay information to, like cell phone numbers, individuals' numbers, and I just want to ensure that we're not talking 18-year-old kids, that we have adults that have the ability to resolve disputes or issues. In the event that we get phone calls from neighbors about noise or lights or something, I want to be able to have whoever our staff is assigned to be able to contact somebody without chasing them around the complex to find them.
Yeah, fair enough. And we have my regular tournament staff. We space ourselves throughout. I don't run any other event on that weekend. So normally I'm running 2 or 3 events during the weekend, and my entire staff is.
Let me interject a question, because Larry asked you a question, and you kind of answered it, but you kind of didn't. that, when you said all of your staff, that could be 2 people, that could be 100 people. I don't know what that means.
That generally means about 4
Okay.
staff there, besides our field crew
Okay.
that's there. I have what we call an UIC, which is an umpire-in-chief, okay? That is not on the field, okay? And he's one of my staff. Then I have a tournament director that runs the tournament during that time.
Okay.
And then we have our other staff, and we have our concession staff as well. So we have anywhere, our own staff during that weekend is heavily there. So we have
I'm
anywhere
assuming
between
that
4 and
your
10 people.
Your tournament director then would be your primary
Correct.
contact, because your umpire is not going to be, and the concession people, they're going to be busy doing other things. So that would be my biggest concern, is making sure that we had names, contacts, phone numbers. In the event that something happens, we know who to contact, as well as Dennis's information.
So, for this event and the next event, do you hire any outside security companies?
The outside security, I require that the other tournament director brings in security.
Okay.
That is part of my contract.
For the adult one, you mean?
For the adult.
Okay.
Armed or unarmed?
Pardon?
Armed or unarmed?
Unarmed
Okay.
security,
Okay.
unarmed security. We have never seen a need at this point to bring in any armed security. We pretty much mimic what the city requires of them at the city. And we say, whatever the city's requiring out there, and they actually have a bigger situation because they have all the campers.
Right. Well, Dennis, when you say bring in their own security, are we talking about a legitimate licensed security company, or just some guys walking around with shirts that say security on them? I mean, is it a company that exists?
That was gonna be my
And it's
question.
licensed and
Yeah,
bonded?
the city of Sacramento over at the complex has required that they have uniform security over there. We have not had to have that situation at Freedom Park. They have had their own staff and security. They hire their own people, but they have not contracted out to a separate one. Now, if we require that, if the district requires that, I will make that a requirement this year. I don't have a problem with that.
Well, along with the security, and this I think goes for both tournaments, we have a contract through a security company, and since the second tournament, you're recommending having people camp outside of the complex that you can control, that now puts it into our purview. And so we get charged on every time there's a call that goes out. We have a system set, we have a flat rate, we get charged when we have call outs. I would want to make it very clear as a requirement that if our people get called out, if our company gets called out, all those call out charges are going to be at the responsibility of D.F.Softball. And just one last thing, I know you haven't gotten to the second one yet, but we may want to look at both of them. You know, I'm new here, I understand that, but I've been involved with ASA softball for well over 30 years. And I would want to make sure that we have some sort of, I'll call it a bond. We should have a cash bond that we're holding on to in the event that we incur any costs that I can draw down from if I have to, rather than go to Dennis and say, okay, Dennis, you have to write me a check for all this because this happened. I can take it out of the bond. Obviously, I would work with Dennis on that, not to abuse it, to make sure we did it right. But our district is taking a huge risk with this because, Dennis, one of the things that is kind of gray in here is that you state that the second tournament is not sponsored by D.F.Softball, yet your contract requires that you can't contract out that facility to anybody else without the board approval. And so I'm concerned that